If you want to take an object and turn it into a 3D printable file, there's a couple of ways you can do that. You could design it or remake it in CAD, but I am a bit rubbish at that. Or you could use something like this. This is a 3D scanner. This is the Revopoint MetroX, and today we're learning how to use it from scratch, including some insights from the Revopoint technical team, which I have not found in any other guide so far. But before we even touch the MetroX, let's just simplify it. A 3D scanner uses cameras and laser projectors to create a physical map of an object. The lasers project a structured light on multiple lines, and then the onboard cameras, these measure depth, this one colour. The cameras then read how those laser lines interact with the object to create the 3D scan. Then the software, I'm using Revo Metro version 5.8.5, it then takes all that software and creates a digital file. From there you can edit, scale, modify, and finally print. It's a lot of fun, and it's mostly straightforward. So full disclosure, Revopoint sent me the MetroX to use in some upcoming projects on the channel, and I could not be more excited. I've got loads of different ideas about how to use it, but for this video, I want to keep it super basic. When you open the box, you'll find inside a set of instructions, a warranty and a quality assurance certificate, some marker stickers, a calibration board, a stand for the turntable, a USB cable and power supply, funny little USB-C to USB-A adapter and a wrist strap, a sample bus to scan, a turntable, the MetroX scanner itself, and finally, the tripod for the scanner. It's a really nice bit of packaging and you feel like a professional when you open it up. If you grab the advanced kit, you'll also get the marker block kit too, which includes these little magnetic D20-like jobbies, the half domes, and these pyramids too, along with a load more marker stickers. I have since found out though that you can also 3D print most of these. I don't know why I didn't think of that beforehand, and you can do so using the files you can find over on MakerWorld, which I've linked down in the description below. Now if when you unbox this sort of stuff you're starting to think, is this hard to set up? The answer is no. You install the software, plug it in, set your markers, and you're basically ready to go. So the setup is easy. What might not be quite as easy though is deciding how to scan something. When you open your software, you're met with this screen. Home is this page, and we'll get back here in a few seconds. Contact Us takes you to their social media, forums, and Facebook groups relating to each product, and you can therefore ask peers who are already using the machine for support and that sort of stuff. And in the middle, learning links to a series of learning resources and videos, plus a link where you can book a one-to-one meeting with an engineer to discuss issues you may have. This feature isn't really mentioned in any of the pre-purchase advice, and that's a shame, because I cannot recommend it enough. I learned loads in the 45 minutes I spent chatting to their technical team, including some little insights that I just had no idea existed, which you only really get through using the machine and, yeah, just playing around with it. I don't know about you, but I always find it so much easier to learn from a real person rather than learning from instructions. Talking about the software more generally, frankly, 3D printing software can learn a lot from applications like this. There's no crappy AI slop, just workflow improvements and then links to useful resources. And of course, best of all, real people to talk to. Don't forget, this is free software. Frankly, I am staggered that you can just do video calls with actual people. Back to home, and with the scanner connected, you can open a new project. It will prompt you for where you want to save it, and then you're into it. With the software open, you're confronted with a load of terminology you may not have seen before. This bit is about the type of scan you're doing. Marker scans use markers to create a map of the object and are good for parts. Feature scans are better for capturing organic objects or very detailed objects. One click is the automated walkthrough option, and the rest of the top line is about model finishing. What threw me for a loop initially were the scan modes. There are 4. Cross-line scanning mode, you'll see 14 thin blue lines projected onto your object. This mode is best for mechanical parts, object with edges, darker materials and more detailed shapes. And if you're unsure which mode to use, start here. You will need to use markers with this one though. The second mode is parallel lines, which is better for capturing finer details, but it's slower and it still needs markers. The third mode is full field mode, which instead of lines, you'll see a full light pattern. This captures more surface area at once is simpler setup and doesn't need markers, and is better for sculptures, organic shapes, quick scans, and for beginners learning the movement of stuff. If you think the other two modes are a bit slow, try this mode. And the final mode is auto turntable. For this you need the turntable that we mentioned earlier, which you then plug in, pop the model onto the middle of, and hit one click, and the turntable cycles through an automatic scan at lots of different angles using the full field light. I hope that all makes sense, and if this video is useful to you, then perhaps you can leave a little like and a well-meaning morale boosting sub for me. I'd appreciate it, thanks. So let's scan something. For the first scan, I decided to use the sample bus that was just included in the box. So I'm going to pop that in the middle of a turntable. So we open the software, we select new scan, select the mode, we're going to use auto turntable. We're going to place the object within the recommended distance. You can see whether the recommended distance is correct or not because the distance indicator on the right hand side of the screen will go green. It'll go red if it goes too near or too far away. And it's important to try and keep it in that ideal range in order to get the maximum resolution from your scans. Then you hit start. The turntable begins to rotate. The blue lines begin scanning and those cameras go to work. And on screen you'll see a mesh building up in real time. This is your object being turned into data. And it's madness. Once your scan's complete and you feel that the model is as good as you're going to get it, you will no doubt see on your scan you'll have extra floating pieces around, you'll have the scan of the markers if you've used those on the screen, you may have some extra bits of noise, or if you've slid a thumb into the camera you may have the tip of your thumb or something like that. So all that sort of stuff needs to be removed and tidied up. That's completely normal. Unfortunately, some models, particularly detailed ones, will have lots of data missing, which means hole filling. Initially, I filled these manually, which is tedious, I promise you. But thanks to the tech support team, I learned about an awesome feature that's included in the latest version of the software. The ability to inverse select things. So basically, when you select the Identify Holes button on the software, it will identify all the holes in your model. They'll appear green. When you click on one, it'll go red, but everything else is still green, which means it's not selected. Then what you do is you go over here and you click the inverse selection button, and then everything else has gone red except the one that you clicked. Press shift, select that last button, and now all your holes are selected. Now all you need to do is just repair them all, and you can repair them all in one go. This is a massive time saver. Obviously, if there's any holes you don't want to select, just deselect those, but this is a lot faster than manually repairing every hole. Now we can export the model, open our slicers, import the STL, and from here it's just normal 3D printing. Drag the model onto the screen, orientate, auto support, repair if you need to, slice, and send to the printer. And just like that, we have a 3D print of a model that we've scanned, which is amazing. So here's a side-by-side shot of the original scan, and it actually turned out pretty good. Is it perfect? No, it's not absolutely perfect, but it's pretty good. It's shockingly accurate. The edges are preserved, the shape's intact, the scale's correct, and I guess that's the power of the MetroX 3D scanner. Okay, so the practice bust is all well and good. But what do you do about more complex shapes? Well, we don't have to use the auto turntable mode. We can go handheld. So that's what we're going to do next. And while handheld mode is relatively straightforward and intuitive, you do have to be a bit careful. Using handheld mode simply means holding the scanner at various angles and moving it backwards and forwards within range. As long as you do that, with several passes you'll slowly build up a fully formed picture of what you're trying to scan. Then you just complete the steps we mentioned before and hit print. And while yes, this model isn't exactly perfect, I am still really excited about the potential to be able to capture organic shapes like this and just create them into fully realised 3D printable objects. It's kind of madness. It is much easier though to scan non-organic shapes. This is a scan of the Hozo knife that I reviewed on the channel last year, and I think it came out great. But I guess that makes sense. But if you're aligning, say, the front of an object and the back of an object, make sure that you scan both sides of the object so that on both the front and the back, the two sides should be identical. Then, when you go into manual mode, you can just select points along those sides which marry up with the front and the back scans, and then the software will automatically bring those together so you end up with one whole mesh. So to wrap up, here are some realistic expectations about the Revopoint X 3D scanner. The first thing to say is it's definitely got a learning curve. It's not an instant win, and it can be a little bit frustrating. So you need to exercise a little bit of patience when using it and just put some time into just practicing and scanning and failing and moving on. And eventually you'll get the gist of what works and what doesn't. And so 5 or 6 scans in, you'll be pretty adept at being able to use it accurately. The second point is you really need to make sure you're using the correct scanning mode and making sure the depth cameras are focused and also calibrated. That sounds obvious to say, but it makes a massive difference to the speed and the quality of the scans you're going to get out of the back of it. The lighting also matters. Well-lit objects are easier for the cameras to detect and therefore scan accurately. Shiny objects are harder to scan, and therefore if you're scanning lots of shiny objects, you may just need to use marker stickers, because those marker stickers, you can then place those directly onto the object itself, and then the scanner will use those markers to generate the overall shape of the model where it struggles to get detail back. And as I said at the top, practice really improves your results dramatically. The next point is scanning organic objects can be really hard. Obviously, there's not really any points to align things to, and so if you're trying to scan the front and the back, aligning them is very tricky, but there's also lots of crevices and fine details which are just very, very difficult to pick up on the scanner, and therefore you end up with large holes. And while the models you get out of the back of it are good, they're basically always going to be approximations of the final object rather than absolutely perfect renders. The best example of that is this rose I was trying to scan, which, although I'm pretty pleased with the results, isn't quite as good as looking at actual rows. So I think a little bit of acceptance that perfect isn't always going to be possible is going to be the case here. And I'm going to hammer home this last point again, that while 3D scanning isn't necessarily that complicated, it does require a little bit of patience. The standard MetroX is available in the UK currently for £863. The advanced edition, £1,035. I've got links to the products down below, so if you do want to help support the channel, click on those links down below. It's very, very appreciated. So if you've never used a 3D scanner before, I really hope this video was useful to you, and that I've sort of shown how 3D scanning can actually be really accessible. At the end of the day, it really is just a case of turn it on, scan it, tweak it, print it, but within those 4 steps are a lot of fiddling around and quite a lot of patience. No doubt I will get much better at it as I use it more and more and more and get more adept with it. I plan to have several more scanning videos later in the year through the channel, so if you've got any ideas about what I should be scanning or things that would be useful for you to see on the channel, please let me know in the comments below. I really, really like to hear your feedback. And obviously if I've missed anything, please let me know that too, because then I can populate the comments or even pin the comments down below if they're really useful. So I'll just close out by saying a huge thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon, joins in the chat down below, likes, subscribes to the videos, or best of all, joins in over on my Discord. You are all legends and you know who you are. I have been James, this is RisingApe Minis, and I will see you next time.